A tech billionaire named Marc Andreessen recently went on the Joe Rogan podcast where he made a totally false claim about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, or CFPB.
The Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, CFPB, which was it's sort of Elizabeth Warren's personal agency that she gets to control. And it's an independent agency that just gets to run and do whatever it wants, right? And if you read the Constitution, like, there is no such thing as an independent agency, and yet there it is.
What does her agency do?
Whatever she wants.
What does it do, though?
Basically, terrorize financial institutions, prevent new competition, new startups that want to compete with the big banks.
Really?
Oh yeah, 100%.
How so?
Just by terrorizing anybody who tries to do anything new in financial services.
Can you give me an example?
Well, I guess, debanking. This is where a lot of the debanking comes from, is these agencies. So debanking is when you as either a person or your company are literally kicked out of the banking system.
Like they did to Kanye.
Exactly, like they did to Kanye. My partner Ben's father has been debanked.
Really?
We had an employee who...
For what?
For having the wrong politics.
The only problem here is that there is no evidence that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau pressures banks to debank people for their politics. In fact, the CFPB actively opposes the practice. Andreessen's accusation about the agency is entirely unfair, and he was actually confronted with the evidence that he was wrong and commented, "I'm delighted if that's true. I have to say I've never heard any whiff of that." Well, yeah, that's probably because you actually don't do any research before spouting off on topics before an audience of millions. But, as the saying goes, a lie gets halfway around the world before the truth has got its pants on. And soon, fellow billionaire Vivek Ramaswamy had tweeted out Andreessen's rant, saying it was fascism by the deep state and proves we need to shut it down. Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, chimed in and said we needed to delete CFPB. Now, Musk and Ramaswamy have been assigned by Donald Trump to head up a project called the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, named after a dumb meme that Elon Musk is obsessed with. It's not actually a government department. It's not clear what legal authority it has, but Musk and Ramaswamy have promised to make drastic cuts to government spending, tearing up regulations, and firing hundreds of thousands of people. On social media, now, Musk, Ramaswamy, and the official DOGE account promote the usual stories about out-of-control government spending, trying to convince people that they're simply engaged in an effort to reduce waste, save taxpayer dollars, ensure the government's doing its job. But the CFPB story shows that something far more sinister is going on here. Andreessen, Rogan, Musk, and Ramaswamy are all fabulously wealthy, you have to remember. They are part of the top 0.1%. And together they have fabricated and laundered a story about the federal government's consumer watchdog that is being used to justify destroying it. But that agency is actually dedicated to protecting ordinary consumers like you and me from the predations of the rich and unscrupulous, people like Marc Andreessen. So what does it do? The CFPB investigates companies that have engaged in deceptive, abusive, and unfair practices, ensuring that they treat their customers fairly. Now, what kinds of practices? Well, you can look at all of their enforcement actions on their website. That's the work that Andreessen calls terrorizing financial institutions. It usually consists of going after companies that have lied to their customers and stolen their money. So why does Andreessen think that making sure companies don't deceive their customers is terrorizing them? Well, certain members of the ruling class think that any kind of regulation of their conduct is a form of oppression. He may have personally felt terrorized when the CFPB came after one of the companies he invested in. Andreessen's venture capital firm was a major backer of a company called LendUp, which the CFPB targeted after LendUp misled its customers and lied to them, telling them that they were going to get favorable terms on loans if they fulfilled certain conditions, and they never got the loans. So the CFPB is keeping billionaires like Andreessen from profiting from companies that defraud you. But if he told you that, i.e. the truth, you might not share the view that the CFPB is merely a bloated, useless, corrupt piece of bureaucratic waste. You might instead think it was an example of the government looking out for your interests against those of corporate predators. Musk, too, is going to benefit from destroying the CFPB. He's actually specifically seeking to turn X, or Twitter, into a payment processor, which is precisely the kind of business the CFPB monitors to ensure it isn't mistreating consumers. So while Andreessen and Musk want you to think the CFPB is targeting people like you, it's in fact targeting people like them when they overcharge and mislead people like you. That's the most dangerous aspect of this new DOGE project, that it will be a huge fraud perpetrated on the public in which important public services are gutted in the name of eliminating waste. For more current affairs, visit currentaffairs.org and subscribe to our print magazine at currentaffairs.org/subscribe.